In this lesson, we're going to talk all about tuples and what exactly is a tuple. We're going to talk about how to create one, how to understand what exactly it is, how to inspect the different elements within a tuple. It's going to be all about tuples. So let's get some totally tupled through this lesson. So tuples, a data container. Well, let's back up a little bit. What is a data container exactly? Well, a data container is something that holds a collection of numerous items inside of it. A tuple is kind of your first basic data container. It can contain multiple different items. It's a finite ordered sequence of values. And so when I say order, it's based upon insertion of when it was put in there. Or really declaration, because tuples are immutable, meaning that you can't change their order, you can't add items to them, you can't remove items from them. Once they're created, they're basically there. Interestingly enough, strings are actually tuples, but the only thing that can be contained inside of them are characters. So you might be able to think of that. So think of a string, and we talked about kind of that stringing of different elements all along together. Now, instead of it just being characters, you can put other items in there. And it can be any type. So it can be an int, it could be a string, it could be a float, it could be another tuple, it could be another data container, such as a dictionary or a list that's in there. So let's kind of look at this. So I've got here my GitHub repository. I'm going to create a new folder, module 5 here. And in that module 5 folder, I'm going to do totally tuples.py. So you'll remember, if dunder name is equal to dunder main to execute our script. And so here we go. Let's kind of mess around with this here. So let's create our first tuple. So our first tuple, let it be, let's just call it a first tuple. And we're going to do 1 and then the string of 2.0 like this. And then let's do 3.0 like this, which is an integer, 2.0, which is a string, and then 3.0, which is a float that's in there. And let's just actually call it my tuple. This. Now let's print this guy out. There we go. Oops. We're going to have to cd into module 5 and then totally tuples. All right. Whoops. My tuple. There we go. And there we go. There we see that. Now, to declare a tuple, what you need is actually the commas. So even though I have parentheses around here, that's actually not necessary. And I'll show you actually that that's what's happening. So you can see that we don't need the parentheses around it. Now you always should, and I say you always should, wrap a tuple around with parentheses. Why? Well, because it makes it a little bit more legible, more understandable, and easier to read in there, especially when you start doing something like this. So a tuple within a tuple. So let's do 4 and 5 inside of there. And there we go. There's 1, 2, 3, and then a tuple inside of that of 4 and 5 that's in there. So the commas is what actually creates the tuple. And because you have now another parentheses and a set of a tuple in here, well, Python does interpret that in there. And in this case, you do need that because it is a distinguishing this as another tuple. But technically, you don't need these outer surrounding ones. Python will automatically understand that you're making a tuple in here, but you should do it anyways because it makes it more clear. That's in there. Now, if you'll remember in a string, we can actually index into this tuple. So my tuple, let's print out my tuple of item 0 indexed again. So 0 would be 1, 2 would be that, 0 would be the 1, 1 would be the 2 string, 2 would be that 3, and then 3. I'm going to print this out because I want to kind of, well, let's do 1 first, just to kind of show you what it looks like. Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Print my tuple 0. Print my tuple 2. And print my tuple of 3, like this. Let's print those all out individually. And so now you can see we can index into that tuple and get each of those individual values inside of there and work with it like that. Let's see here. You can also cast things using a tuple. What does that mean? Well, let's say we have an interesting string such as hello. What happens if we do my tuple is equal to tuple of hello, like that? Now let's print this out. Think for a moment before we execute this. What do you think should happen here? We're creating a tuple, and I'm going to tell you that this will work. We're creating a tuple out of a string. We're kind of casting this. And I already told you that a string is essentially a tuple, but each element inside of that has to be a character. That would mean that we would probably get something similar to this, right? Something similar to a string. Let's see what happens. There we go. We get hello there. So, but each element inside of that tuple is a single character string that's in there, including even the space that's in there. So that's what I meant by basically a tuple is just like a string, and it works just like that. Now let's make some changes to my tuple. So my tuple, let's see, I want to change that to, so let's see, that first element is going to be, sorry, not first element, sorry, element of index 1, which is the second element. I'm going to set that actually to be 2. I think that should be an integer in there. Let's run this script like this. All right, we got hello there printing out, and then, oh, wait a minute. We got a trace back. Let's debug this. So we got a trace back. Which file is it? Totally tuples.py. That's right. Which line is it? Line 17 here. Okay, so something weird is happening right here. Okay, this is what the line looks like. We've identified it here. And type error. Oh, interesting. That's the type of error it is. It's a type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Ah. So remember back in the string, we couldn't make changes to the string, right? We couldn't change the first element that was in there. So it's the same way with tuples. Tuples and strings are immutable objects. You can't change them once they've been declared. You have to redeclare them, reassign them, or assign them to a different variable in order to have a different tuple that's in there. So it's the same kind of idea there. Now, very similar to Python or to strings in Python, we can also check to see if something is inside of a tuple. So let's comment this guy back out. Let's print out this tuple here. Oops. There we go. And let's do this. Let's check to see if 3.0 is in there. So print 3.0 in my tuple. What does that do? And ta-da! Look, it is true. 3.0 is inside of my tuple. There we go. Let's make this a little bit more interesting. So let's see here. 3.0 is in my tuple. And then we're going to do this. 3.0 in my tuple. Let's use our F string to make this a little bit more clear that this is where we're wanting to look at. And ta-da! 3.0 is in my tuple. True, it is. Cool. Let's change this up a little bit more. Query is equal to 6. Let's see if 6 is in there. Query is in tuple. Like this. 6 is in my tuple? Nope, that is not true. What about that other tuple? Let's see if it's smart enough to detect that. Is that in there? Well, yes, it is. Will Python pick it up? Totally. That's right. It works just fine in there. Finally, the thing that I want to talk to you about and share with you is this. Let's comment out this. Let's comment out this. And let's uncomment this. The other thing that you can do with any data container, but what's really useful for tuples and lists, is you can iterate over them. So for letter in my tuple, print letter, like that. Let's expand this out there and ta-da! Hello there. We've got it out like that. So that is kind of how you iterate through a tuple. This is something new. You haven't experienced this. And in the next video, we're going to go over what exactly is a loop. You've seen me use for loops before, but now let's actually explore them. Let's see what a for loop does and what a while loop and looping in general does inside of Python. Check it out in the next video.